of Jamaica, welcome back to season 8 of Centrally Speaking. Can you believe it? 8 seasons in 7 years of your favorite television program, Bank of Jamaica Centrally Speaking. I hope you enjoy this season. I'm sure you will. And as a matter of fact, speaking of seasons, it is athletic season. Tracks,
Yes.
champs.
It's coming up.
And by the way, our outfits in no way suggest the teams that we're cheering for, but I want KC. Yeah, sir.
Glenmuir, you can do this. Come on, Glenmuir. I'm counting on you.
Oh God! But viewers, thank you so much for joining us. Bank of Jamaica, Centrally Speaking, is that program that opens up the conversation around important matters of economics and finance. And over the past 8 seasons, we've had some interesting conversations and some great shows. Sheena,
Anna.
what is your best show from the season?
Well, the truth is, it's kind of difficult because I love almost all episodes.
Yeah, right.
Except the one where you and I did it alone. That never happened, don't it?
Don't it.
So I like the goat farm.
Yes.
Yeah?
Goat and
Remember
chicken.
we drink the goat milk?
Goat and chicken.
Chicken farm.
I'm gonna go start with the goat teeth.
Yeah, man.
That was
Halfway
nice.
tree?
I loved halfway tree.
Yeah, that was a vibe.
I love being on the road. We always like being on the road.
We do.
Yeah. And people said, "Hi, I want to go on TV." Yes.
Today we have with us a very special guest, the Governor of Bank of Jamaica, Richard Byles. He will be sharing his economic updates.
Yes, and in addition to those updates, he'll be giving us his assessment of 2025 and discussing 2026 as he shares his insights into the economy.
But before we hear from our guest, we want to hear from you. It's time for Street Check.
Check.
What is a cambio?
A cambio is a place that you go to exchange money or currency. And it's also used just in, for instance, if somebody send you a 100 USD and you want it to transfer in Jamaican, you go there.
A cambio is where you go to buy and exchange foreign currencies.
You can go here and change your money.
Where you go to buy and sell foreign currencies.
Cambio is a place where you go to exchange money in different currencies.
A cambio is a place where you collect money and change currency.
Cambio is a money exchanging institution.
Now, come with us as we attempt to demystify economic matters so everyone can understand.
So now to our guest, Governor Richard Byles. Welcome back to Centrally Speaking.
Thank you. I hope I can help with the demystifying.
Of course, 2026.
Tell us, give us a little highlight or flashback on your views as the governor of 2025.
Well, actually, 2025 was shaping up to be a pretty good year, right up till October. The inflation rate was well within our corridor for all of the year, and in fact, even dipped below the 4%. So we were quite comfortable at the bank when it came to inflation. Also, our foreign exchange rate hadn't moved significantly, maybe about 1.5%, which is what it normally moves by in any current year.
Okay.
So we're comfortable with that too. Our reserves were growing and had hit over $6 billion US. And finally, GDP growth for the economy, real growth, was positive, especially in the September quarter. So we thought we were in a great year, and then came October. And things went south.
Yeah.
Many of the sectors that are important for GDP growth, for example, agriculture and tourism, including also some construction, halted and were badly damaged by Melissa. As a result, with the shutdown in tourism, foreign exchange flows that we expected in the last quarter of the year, those began to kind of tail off. But the reserves were strong, and Bank of Jamaica stepped up and provided all the foreign exchange financing needed for that initial period between November and December, when a lot of imports for relief came into the island. In addition, we put in place special processes over the foreign exchange market. So we started to sell directly to one of the large energy producers, because when they come into the market, they come in with a big demand, and that tends to shake the market and let the rate move significantly. So we decided to take them out by selling straight to them. In addition, we went back to a situation where we announced or pre-announced beforehand when we would enter the market, so that everybody who had demand that needed to be met could be prepared on that day for our sale. Those two measures have proven to be quite successful. And in November, December, we sold approximately 250 million US into the market to satisfy that initial relief demand. So we managed to get through on the foreign exchange side in terms of the supply and even in terms of the rate too. And so we closed the year well within the 1.5% depreciation versus the year before. GDP, however, when we get the numbers, we suspect will be severely hurt. Agriculture, a big hunk of that agriculture, which is in the West, has been demolished. And many of the hotels in the West too have had to postpone the opening season of tourism. And some of them won't start back till March, and some of them not until November.
Okay.
So Melissa really put a damper on what was turning out to be a really good year for the Jamaican economy.
Speaking about inflation, Governor, our established target is the range is 4 to 6%.
Yes.
So with the impact of Hurricane Melissa, certainly that we're not going to be within range anytime soon. So is the central bank going to adjust the range and the target rate?
No, the range is really set on appreciation of the fundamentals of the economy. What is the structure of the economy like? What are we seeking to achieve? One of the major targets that we're seeking to achieve, of course, is the debt to GDP of 60%. And when we have an inflation range of about 4 to 6, that tends to help with the debt to GDP ratio, as well as it is accommodative for growth. So we still feel that fundamentally the 4 to 6% range is appropriate.
Okay.
Now, Melissa will impact it, and we do expect that inflation will breach the 6% limit. However, hopefully it's not for long and not much more above the 6%. But where events occur that will push it up or below, we rather to speak to that temporary change that will happen and to explain to the population why we have that change rather than to change a corridor 4 to 6.
And on the note of inflation, Governor, what is BOJ's view of the impact of the US tariffs on the economy and on inflation and other aspects of the Jamaican economy?
So much has changed in the last year between when President Trump announced the tariffs initially and today. Tariffs have changed dramatically throughout the world, but mostly they have tended to come down from that initial announcement. So our assessment is that the effective US tariff rate to the rest of the world moved from about 2% to a little shy of 10%. And that will translate to us to be about a 0.1% increase in inflation.
Okay.
A 1% increase for US consumers and 0.1% for us.
Okay.
So we don't think it is going to be tremendously impactful on our inflation. Furthermore, tourism, which is our main export source of earnings for us, is not in any way impacted by tariffs.
Okay.
The export of alumina also is not impacted by tariffs.
Okay.
Interesting.
But other exports, for example, some agricultural produce, will face that 10% barrier and will have to find a way to survive. So overall, we feel that the impact on our inflation and on our exports won't be that dramatic. Melissa is a bigger challenge by far.
So, Governor, we had prior experience coming out of COVID, the rise in inflation, and then the gradual return to the 4 to 6 range. And similarly, you just explained that it will happen as we navigate the post Melissa.
Yes.
Now, but we want to speak to our friends in the West, like a Miss Jade on a Bull Savannah, like a Miss Jill in a Petersfield, who, they're in the heart, the epicenter of the impact of Hurricane Melissa, and they're going to feel the price increases, feel it wicked. Now, what can you say? What advice do we give to people like our friends in the West?
Well, we're going to feel increase in prices, particularly in the food category and maybe in the energy through power, electricity, for a while. Hopefully not too long. We are expecting that it would peak maybe about by June, perhaps even a little earlier.
Okay.
Indeed, we are even seeing now some return of short-term crops to the marketplace. I haven't gone myself, but I hear that at Coronation Market, there's lots of local
Would I like to
produce.
see it down there, Governor?
Maybe it's
Let us put together.
maybe it's the center of the island on the way on the east that is supplying it, which is great.
Right.
So although prices have risen, we don't expect it will stay high for very long.
We have seen the appreciation of the Jamaican dollar relative to its counterpart, US counterpart, in recent times. As a matter of fact, one of the success stories of 2025 was the relative stability of the Jamaican dollar. Do you see that as something that is likely to continue in 2026?
For every Jamaican, the foreign exchange rate is a door through which inflation walks.
Yes.
Because we import so many things. 70% of everything we consume in one form or another is imported. And once it is imported, the exchange rate has an impact on it. So if we have an exchange rate that moves dramatically, we can expect that inflation is going to rise dramatically. Because of that, Bank of Jamaica pays special attention to see that the exchange rate is not excessively volatile. Remember, like every other market, it responds to moments of shortage and moments of surplus. You see that in Coronation Market. 1 week you have a lot of tomato and the price falls. Next week you don't have any scallion and the price gone up. So same thing in the foreign exchange market. So our entry into the market is designed to supply the market when there's excess demand for money and to take from the market when there's excess supply of currency. So we have a kind of calming effect on the market, but we don't try to set a price. The price sets itself, but we enter when we think it is too volatile, either up or down.
Okay.
We have done so quite successfully so far, and we have the reserves that will allow us to do it. So we're not going to be crazy about selling reserves, but we are going to be mindful that we need to, especially in the next 6 months or 9 months till tourism gets back on its feet, we need to have a calming effect on the market.
Okay. Thank you for those responses so far, Governor. We'll be right back with more questions for you. But first, we have to take a little break and hear some messages.
Now, if you joined us before the break, the governor was giving a recap for the highlights of 2025. So now we're going to shift a little focus, Governor. Let's talk about the commercial banking sector. One of the sectors that BOJ regulates. How would you assess the sector at this time? Are commercial banks healthy?
We have spent a lot of time working with the banks over many years to build their strength and stability. Capital is there. Non-performing loans are pretty small. The banks have been pretty astute in how they make loans. Some people may say too astute.
Too astute, true.
But, that keeps them strong, and that's what they are. So they have survived COVID, they survived that period of intense global inflation. And now that we are post-Melissa, I expect that they will survive it too and do quite well. There may be one or two tourism loans or agricultural loans, but I think that they are strong enough and in as good a position with their capital to handle those situations.
On the vexed issue of ABMs.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Is there anything you'd like to share with us at this moment? There still seems to be a challenge with availability.
So even before Melissa, we had a pretty chronic problem of cash through the ATMs. And Melissa just multiplied that considerably. It pretty much took out virtually every ABM in the West.
Wow.
And the commercial banks have been struggling quite violently to restore those ABMs to working condition. And it's been quite a struggle because they not only need access, but they needed power, they needed connectivity. So they had to wait on power and connectivity, even when they had access, could go in and clean up and make sure that the machine was working. So we are at a point now, however, where most of those machines are back in operation. But that doesn't really address the general problem we have in the country, which is that we use a lot of cash. We depend a lot on cash for payments. And that is only going to get more chronic so long as Jamaicans are dependent on cash.
Right.
Cash is expensive, cumbersome, has a security risk around it. We need to move to more secure digital forms of payment. So many people use credit cards and debit cards, and that's good. In fact, most of our payments, by far, in the economy occur either through your computer online or through credit cards or through debit cards. But still, a good proportion of the transactions in dollar terms and an overwhelming amount in number of transactions occur by cash. And that puts a strain on the whole ABM system.
Right.
It is an expensive proposition to establish an ABM. These machines cost millions of dollars. They have to be housed, they have to be serviced, which means security, delivery of cash, keeping them up. So it is not going to be easy for banks to have as many ABMs as we demand by the usage of cash.
Okay.
The solution is find a more secure digital means of payment. And this is where Jamdex comes in, right? So Jamdex is a central bank digital currency that allows me to pay you remotely. So I can stay here and pay you in Katadupa. I don't have a risk in the money that I carry. So it is seamless, it is immediate, just like if you send talk time to somebody, you know, same process. We have to move to that. Where are we with it? We are pretty close to the wire. One bank is up and running with it, and that is NCB.
Okay.
Another bank is up and running too, that's JN Bank. They have just started.
Yeah.
Two other banks are on the cusp of coming into that environment. However, we have one impediment. That impediment is when you go to a supermarket or you go to your restaurant and you want to pay and you use these POS machines, point of sale machines. People use them. They use them for their debit cards and credit cards.
Yeah.
we need Jamdex to be taken on those POS machines also. So if I am walking around with Jamdex on my phone and I want to go to the supermarket and buy 7,000 worth of goods, I should be able to use my Jamdex phone to
Yes.
pay.
At the POS.
And the way to do that is over the POS, but the POSs have to be altered
Oh,
internally, software,
Okay.
yes.
in order to take
Okay.
the
Jamdex.
Jamdex code. All of the DTIs need to therefore go into their system and change, from a software point of view, those POS machines. Not a terribly difficult job. And even if it costs money, Bank of Jamaica has stood up and said, I will fund half of that for you because I want you to get those POS machines working so that the Jamaican public can rely less on the ATM machines and more on digital payment
Right.
systems. So we have gone the extra mile to say to the DTIs, the commercial banks, we will fund some of that cost for you. Let's get going because this cash demand is growing every day and the frustration in the Jamaican people is growing
Yes.
at the same time
Equally.
too.
The Governor noted that you did a nice build up to the reasons why we should more generally accept Jamdex and what it will take to enable more broad scale use of the digital currency. You did the build up, but you could say it for Jamaicans. Once we accept Jamdex, once we alter those POS machines, and once we reduce our reliance on cash, what is the central bank's forecast of economic impact?
Well, I think what it will do is relieve so many Jamaicans from, let me go to that ABM machine. Oh my
Yes,
gosh, it's not working. Let me go to this other one. Oh
Yes.
my gosh, it's not working.
Yes.
Oh, finally, this one is working. But guess what? 20 people in front of me, and that is another 40 minutes. So all of those inefficiencies disappear from our lives. Can you imagine living without your cell phone now? Talking to
No.
people
No,
all
can't
over the
imagine.
place?
Not possible.
Huh? Not possible. Eventually, that is what will happen with digital payments, that you don't have to be hamstrung with this thing, physical thing called cash.
Yes.
We have to walk up to you and give it to you, or have to go to a machine to get it. Just like how you talk on your phone, you'll be able to pay remotely to any and everybody. And once we get those POS machines changed to take Jamdex, Bank of Jamaica is going to embark on a massive marketing campaign to make all Jamaicans know how to get Jamdex, how to use Jamdex, and where it can be used. So people may say, boy, I hear about Jamdex, but I don't see it used anywhere. We need to have the environment. Get those POS machines going, and we will put the marketing behind it.
Right.
Big campaign to come.
What is your prognosis for the Jamaican economy for 2026?
For the first 6 months, going to be pretty difficult.
Okay.
And then it will gradually become better because the recovery will be complete by, let's say, September of next year. I think you will start to see a lot of the short-term crops coming into the market, prices coming down, availability very much there. More and more, the tourism product will be ready for next season.
Okay.
Construction won't have any impediments. Mining of bauxite, production of alumina should be going well. But 2026, compared to what we saw in the first 9 months of last year, is still not going to be as good. Full recovery
Yes.
will come about March of 2027.
Okay.
Right? So we have a little bit more than a year to get back to full recovery, where we really are humming. And I say that with the hope that we do not have
Yes.
any problems in the hurricane season for
Right.
2026. I mean, this thing is becoming a habit. Right?
Yeah, we have to talk.
And we have to prepare for it.
Yeah, man.
And I think that the government has been very clear that when we rebuild. We have to rebuild with climate change in mind. We have to be
Yes.
more resilient.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
And if you're fixing your roof, fix it good so that hurricane Cat 4, Cat 5 can't blow it off.
Yeah.
Right? So whatever you're doing, do it well because we are in for this climate change phenomena
Yes.
for a couple of years to come.
Governor, I can't make you move without telling the country or reminding for those of us who have already heard that BOJ is a big deal. And we want the world best central bank for 2025.
Yes, I would. It was a fantastic reward for all the hard work we all have done at Bank of Jamaica. I mean, I've been associated with BOJ for 6 years, so I can speak definitively about those 6 years where we have really worked to make the central bank even more professional than it was before. Even more modern, and the result of that is this recognition. So I myself collected the award, but I collected it on behalf of everybody that works at Bank of Jamaica, and indeed all of the partners that work together with Bank of Jamaica to make it able to execute on its mandates.
As always, Governor, excellent. Thank you so much for the insights.
My pleasure.
Yes, we have been speaking with Governor of Bank of Jamaica, Richard Byles. More centrally speaking after the break. On today's episode of Centrally Speaking, Governor Richard Byles gave us an update on the country's economy. Here are the key points from the conversation. So, in other words, it's time for the fast facts. Number 1. Up to October 2025, Jamaica's inflation rate was well within the target range of 4 to 6%, and the country had over $6 billion in foreign reserves. Number 2. The inflation target of 4 to 6% is based on the fundamentals of the economy and not on temporary effects that occasional shocks might bring. Number 3. Bank of Jamaica mitigated some of the negative effects of Hurricane Melissa on the foreign exchange market by selling directly to a large energy producer, while also pre-announcing interventions in the foreign exchange market. Number 4. BOJ's intervention in the foreign exchange market is designed to increase supply of United States dollars when there is excess demand and take from the market when there is excess supply of said US dollar. Number 5. BOJ expects prices in agricultural produce, other goods and services to peak by June of this year, with some recovery by September 2026. However, the bank does not expect full recovery before March 2027, provided that there are no other shocks to the economy. And that's it for the Fast Facts.
And that's our program for this week.
Follow us on X and Facebook at Central Bank Jamaica, at Central Bank Jamaica on Instagram, and on BOJ's YouTube channel. You can also visit our website, boj.org.jm.
We also invite you to send your questions on X or Facebook.
Please send those questions. We love to answer questions. And of course, watch Centrally Speaking next week at the same time, right here on your station, when we will have another special guest. I'm Anna.
And I'm Sheena.
Thanks for watching.
Centrally Speaking is a production of Bank of Jamaica.